Alright guys, let's talk about Anthem. Now, obviously these are going to be my early impressions and thoughts on the game. Now, I've played in several iterations of this game. I played it in one of the closed alphas, I played in the open beta and the VIP one, and obviously we have the main game right now. So this is one of my favorite javelins, and I've actually progressed further in the game, but I'm doing like a earlier mission just for the sake of just showing off some of the earlier content. But there are cooler boss fights that are obviously going to be in the game, but people wanted to know the early impressions that I had on this game. So we're going to go ahead, we'll do a mission, we'll showcase and talk about the microtransactions in the store, we'll showcase off what you can do with the paint and the customization in the customization paint section of the game. But I really want to talk about this game as far as early game, because late game, I'm not at there yet. I don't think anyone's at like the end game because it just came out. So anyways, there's a lot of go up to this area, hit this button, go over here, collect 3 of these, bring them over here, stand inside of this circle while this bar fills up. There's a lot of that. If any of you guys have played the Mass Effect multiplayer, in fact, we're doing one of these right now, which is go over here, sit inside this little area where it's dictated by this little green dome shape. It's kind of transparent until the bar fills up. There's a lot of that. As far as the story goes, I want to say that I want to wait before I kind of give my review on the story of the game, because it's still kind of developing. But as far as the sound, the gameplay, the optimization, it's gotten much better, okay? So some of you guys were like lagging before. I'm gonna go ahead and actually pull out my sniper, so I can show you how much damage this thing does, because I love how much damage this thing does. Watch this. Great stuff. So I've actually built a melee javelin. So I like it. I like it so much more because this is one javelin that I never got to play. But you have options for like high mobility, because you have a triple jump, which I think is awesome. You can fly around, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have already seen before. But one thing that I was surprised with that this game offers is a lot of animation canceling. Specifically, jumping in the air, autoing, and being able to basically get rid of a lot of the frames. Now, it won't do obviously a lot of damage because you're breaking the animation. But as far as the movement goes in this game, it's really nice to be able to fly. Oh, just as a heads up, I am using a controller. I feel like playing this game with the controller is overall just a better experience. But they have made it a little bit better with mouse and keyboard. But it is pretty repetitive. I was playing with a few buddies of mine, and even when we did the spider boss, I still felt like the game
let's do a search for energy signatures in the area.
Was a lot of the same stuff that you've experienced in the demo. Now, obviously, there is later game content, but to have the player do that much repetition, even in the earlier stages of this game, is not the most enjoyable experience. What do we gotta do? Search for a canister. We gotta go. Sometimes, though, your teammates won't know exactly what to do, and like they'll have the objective, but they don't place it in another area. Like you have to take this core object to X area, right? I can go ahead and show you guys my ultimate. Let me just go ahead and pop right now. I'll get it again. So my ultimate on this javelin basically just gives me the ability to do another move set, and it's just a melee build. So I'm pretty sure I'm invulnerable during this state. Like I won't take any damage. It also does put me at full HP, but you can't actually fly in that mode. But like I said, we'll showcase off the microtransactions and stuff, which are not like bad at all. However, there's an item that you do get for pre-ordering the game, and I will show you guys that as well, which is a legendary. Now I only have one legendary. Let's go ahead and interact over here. But a lot of the objectives feel very similar. And if you've played the demo, at least for the earlier stages of the first few hours of the game,
Valuable scars.
it does feel very much the same. But again, that's my early impressions, and a lot of you guys did come into my stream and were asking my thoughts on the game. But I do like that there are different javelins, because honestly, if there wasn't this javelin,
Energy signature of Arcanist.
I don't think I would enjoy the game as much, just because I enjoy the idea of playing a melee character. Now,
Yes, not far.
you do have to have the Origin Premiere, which does cost a monthly fee to actually get out this game out, to get this game earlier. But this is one thing I wanted to also mention real quick, where it says transport to mission area. Otherwise, what's going to happen is it'll teleport you towards your team, which is a good thing. But it takes a very long time because you have to reload the area. And the loading times are not what I would say. What the fuck happened to that guy? I would not say that they are the shortest in the first place. We can actually pop this thing. Let's go ahead and wait till enemies come up, otherwise it'd be a waste of popping that. Hopefully our teammate won't shoot it. But yeah, it's just a lot of this. And if you enjoy this, then you will enjoy... Oh gosh, this guy's gonna blow it up.
Good. Very good.
Alright, so I guess we have to destroy the stockpiles of this. Let's go ahead and go down here. I guess we have to destroy it anyways. I was thinking there was going to be like a group of enemies that would come down here.
Yes, very well done.
Let's go ahead and get this guy over here. Let's go do our dash. So our kit consists of a dash attack. We got like a kick over here. You can freeze enemies. I believe that's this guy over here. He would be kind of considered, I would say, the mage of the game. And some of the abilities, they do look awesome. Visually, this game is amazing. I really can't say that there's a better looking third-person game. And Warframe looks great too. But some of the effects in this game, they're top-notch. The voice acting in this game, great. But the gameplay is just...
It's bad business.
It's not necessarily... I wouldn't consider it bad by any means. Like, I would not say that the combat is bad, but it's just nothing new. There is this combo system that they have implemented in the game. Like, one ability will do something like, if you throw a grenade, the other one will shoot a missile and detonate the grenade. You have your primaries and then you have your detonators. And that's kind of how the game should be played. But if you go to Mass Effect Andromeda, they already had that. That's called a biotic combo. I wouldn't really say it's like super innovative, or it's going to change how you think about this game completely. It's just something that you'll get used to doing, especially on the harder difficulties. You have to implement making your character do those kinds of things. I guess we gotta free these people. Let's see. Go up to it and press the button, or should blow that up. I actually have not done this mission. I was actually playing with a few buddies, and they were actually further in the game than I was. But you can see over here, we're kind of confused. And there's a few times where you will be confused. It might be one of your teammates has the objective, and he has, like, let's say the key or something, alright? Or the orb, and he needs to take it over here. Sometimes it can be confusing, but looks like we got a leader over here.
Junk Moa, a plague, known to work with many bad people.
Let's go ahead and use our abilities on that guy over there. Oh, is he already RIP? Oh, there he is. So we have another ability to mark them. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Then we're going to go ahead and pop our ult. I want to try to take damage. Oh, shit, never mind. This guy is already dead. This is only on normal, but most of the people playing, actually, in fact, I think everyone that's playing will be using the legendary weapon that they get for free because they pre-ordered this game. I mean, there might be some people that just didn't equip it, but I see no reason why they wouldn't. But the menus in this game are a little bit strange, and I'll show you guys what I mean by that. A lot of people got confused, and I actually mentioned that during the beta as well. Okay, let's go ahead and rescue these guys.
Arcanists are safe. Only cuts and bruises. Call the Sentinels to pick them up.
Already done. Good. Nothing more to do here. Check on Freelancer right.
Got it.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and I guess, check up on them. But a lot of these missions in the game, especially in the earlier stages, it's basically like this, and then it's like mission over. You go here, you do this, and then it's mission complete. But looks like this one, we've got like a secondary objective. And on some of the missions, you'll kind of hit these checkpoints. Because you want to be able to get some loot, and what will happen is there'll be a bunch of loot to actually grab, and then you're going to go ahead and if you happen to fail the mission, you'll be able to still collect some loot. So that way it's not a complete loss if your team wipes on, let's say, like one of the bosses in the game. I've done the spider boss, and there's just like weak points that you can shoot at. But again, it's not anything that I would consider just like, oh my gosh, this is so breathtakingly new. What is breathtakingly new as far as like this game goes, I would say visually this game looks really nice. And how fluid it is just to go from on the ground to flying, it's awesome. And also being able to do that is really cool. But, oh, let's go ahead and harvest. Okay, there we go. But I think that this game, as far as the early game, it could definitely use, I would say, some quality of life. But as of right now, on the Origin Premiere, it's only $15 to have full access to this game, which I personally think that for $15, not only do you get this game, but you get a bunch of other games. And I want to show you guys the other games that you'll be getting while you have Premiere that I think are excellent games as well. But I have to really get further into this game before I could say I really can recommend this game for $60 because, again, in the earlier stages of this game, it's very repetitive. And I hope that later it does change, but I don't know. But you guys did ask for early impressions, so let's go ahead, let's do this mission over here. Let's go ahead and get to the high ground. Let's kind of just mix up some of the gameplay content here. So we'll go ahead and pull out our sniper. The sniper hits for an insane amount of damage. Even like some of the turrets. Actually, I don't even need to go for like headshots on these guys because they'll just die to body shots anyways, and it like does AoE. This thing is absolutely amazing. I love the dash too. Let's go ahead and pick up the red things on the ground are health. But let's go ahead and mess around with the AI because we were talking about this in the stream. Like some of the AI, I mean, this is only on normal. Maybe on the higher difficulties, it might be a little bit different. But I can pretty much just plow through most of the stuff. Let's go ahead and pop this guy's tanks. Get some extra damage here. But I mean, why do that when I could just go up to it and just hit one button over and over? In fact, while I was doing my live stream, we were just continuously spamming autos, and I was able to keep up with the chat perfectly fine. But obviously on the bosses, there will be things that you will need to dodge and do differently as far as like, okay, he's doing this move now.
Search the area. Find them.
Alright, so let's go ahead and find Wraith. But like I said, there are stuff that makes the game a little bit difficult to play, especially since on default the voice comms are disabled. I highly recommend you guys to enable them. Oh, another thing I should mention, over on the middle of the screen you can see that there's this kind of arrow and indication on where we need to go, and we found out where to go. But
away from the campsite.
Because team chat is default disabled, it can be kind of confusing for your teammates to know exactly what the heck to do. Hopefully he's following. Okay, cool. We're good. But going into water in this game, some of the areas can be a little bit confusing. I definitely will admit that. But again, if you just kind of look at where to go, let's go ahead and just melee all these guys. Do an attack. Now you can throw shurikens, which is kind of cool with this class. It reminds me a lot of Genji, because you have a dash, you can throw shurikens. You got a triple jump instead of double, because as far as I'm aware of, on most of the javelins you have a double. One of them has like a glide, but for the most part they all have some sort of increased mobility. But I was reading up on, okay, you can see we're about to die. It's no problem to go ahead and pop my ult. Back to full HP. Easy. Just hit that auto. And he's dead. Saw our ult for a little bit. So, what I like with this javelin...
Nothing got past right. She'll be okay.
Damn right.
Okay.
Oh, good.
There we go.
Good,
2,000 coins.
Sentinels are on their way.
Glad you made it. My trigger finger was cramping up.
It's a little bit longer of a mission. Most of these missions... Oh, okay. go ahead and grab this. And it looks like we're done with the mission. So that one, I wouldn't say that there was a boss. That one was a little bit better than most of the missions in this game, as far as the early game content. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the town and everything now that you guys have seen like a mission. Some missions will have kind of a boss. Some of them will be literally exactly what we did. Go over here, go press X on this, go collect these orbs, bring them to this little thing. They do a lot of things very frequently that are similar. To me, it doesn't matter if I'm collecting an orb or going up to something pressing X, regardless if it's a door or a little like lock mechanism. To me, the concept is the same. Or it's stand inside of a ring until this bar fills up. And for me, that's a little bit disappointing for the game's early stages. I feel like you shouldn't really have too much repetitive stuff in the early game, because that's my early impression in this game, is it's very repetitive. But obviously, in some games, people like that. I know that there are people that really enjoy the grinding aspect of games. For me personally, I've played a lot of Diablo. I've played a lot of like loot-based games. But the main thing that I wanted to go over really quick is, what are some of the legendaries? Because that's a very important thing in, let's say, Diablo, Path of Exile, or any game that is based around looting. Because if the items that you're getting are just going to, let's say, increase the damage, as the game scales, the monsters are going to have more HP. Now we do have a new javelin that we can unlock, which is pretty cool. So basically, once you complete the tutorial in the game, you'll be able to select what javelin that you want. You'll also be able to create a character. However, the character has no implications in the game as far as I'm aware of. It's just cosmetic, and you don't even see your character name. I'm talking about the human character. You basically pick a face, and then you go right into the game. But I do want to unlock Storm, which is I can kind of consider like the mage. So there's basically mage, and then I would say there's like a more well-rounded javelin. And then we have like the heavily armored javelin, and then the interceptor, which is the fast one that's all about close range attack, which is the one that you guys just saw. Most people have already showed off gameplay of Ranger and Colossus. That's why I decided to show you guys the interceptor, because I feel like it's the most unique one in the game. In fact, I really enjoyed this one the most out of all of them. But let me go ahead and show you guys the items in the game. So as far as weapons go, because I was a Premier member, which is basically if you want to be able to play this game, you have to spend $15 to have the Origin Premier access, which will have access to a bunch of games. It's not just Anthem, and you don't have to buy the game to actually have access to it, and I think that that is a huge selling point on it. So in the very beginning, I don't recall exactly what gun you start off with, but I remember it was Power of 2. If you have the Premier, it's a pretty big deal to have this Power of 18 on this gun. And in addition to that, there's another thing with it, because it's a legendary. You can see over in orange it says, emptying the magazine recharges shields. So that's kind of cool, and you can see, you know, the stats of the weapon. But more importantly, I do like how legendaries in this game have some type of a modifier. At least on the one that you initially start out with, it does have a modifier, which is pretty cool. The rest of them, you can see the stats on them. Some of them, let's see if we have any. Okay, here we go. So you can see on the blast bag it says mech pistol 9% damage, or shotgun 5% damage. So there are things that will give you different attributes, but they're very minor. And like for me, if it's just a stat stick and it doesn't affect the gameplay too much, then it's just as you progress in the game, you're getting better loot, but at the same time, the monsters are scaling. But being able to recharge the shields is something kind of cool. There's also a crafting system. I don't have access to it yet, but there is technically a crafting system in the game. You can hold 2 weapons, and as far as the components go, these are kind of like, I would say, sockets, if you will. And they do different things in the game. I mean, you just basically can mouse over them or put your cursor over them. And it'll tell you, it'll give you like 10% extra pistol ammo, and also give you armor reinforcement, and then shields. Shields obviously is the thing that regenerates much faster, and I think most people will prefer shields anyways, but basically you have your other stat sticks. But there are things that can modify different things as well, like for example the thruster life, that's when we're flying in the air. And then you can see where it increases melee damage by 5% of the base damage. So there are things that modify things, but I would say as far as early game, there isn't anything that's going to be game-breakingly changing, or maybe if you've gotten a legendary. But I do like that, again, legendaries do more than just add stat sticks in the game. Now, going into the paint system in the game is kind of what I want to go into next, but I think I should showcase off everything in this menu first. So you basically have a few abilities. You have your, well, this one is the strike system over here. You have Wraith Strike, Plasma Star, which is just like kind of like a ninja star that you throw. There's Detonating Strike. So like I mentioned before, there's primaries and then there's detonators. And if we go to our assault system over here, you can see we have Spark Dash. So this one allows us to do like a small little dash. In fact, I think I got something that's a little bit better. So you can see you can get the same item, but it just happens to do more damage. So there's no reason why you wouldn't want to have those. So again, this is just a stat difference, and then also you can see it says Mark's Rifle plus 5% damage. But there's a lot of other skills. I won't go too deep into what every single one of these skills does, but it just basically throws like a ninja star. But keep in mind, ideally you'd want to have something that is a primary and a detonator. That way you can kind of play essentially by comboing by yourself versus waiting for your teammate to use one and then you follow up with them. I mean, that's definitely great to do, but it's usually better unless, of course, you're doing something where you have your entire team on like voice comms, which can be a little bit difficult in this game. Now, like I said before, you have these like slots where you can add like components basically, and they will unlock as you get further down the line in the game. But as far as appearance goes, one thing that a lot of people were actually wondering in the game as far as like the paints, like do you have access to all these paints and stuff? And I'll also show you guys the microtransactions that are in the game as of right now. So you have these different paint jobs that you can go ahead and modify, and if you actually want to change, there's like two different things, and it's kind of confusing, and I know some people didn't understand this during the beta, but you have your material of the like the paint. It's the best way to actually explain this kind of texture. But if you move to the right where the actual color is, you can actually change the color over here. It's a little bit confusing, and I think the menu should be a little bit more friendly. I know that this was mentioned in the beta, and I guess I just didn't change it. But the menus have like sub-menus, and it's kind of strange, especially even in the store, and I want to showcase off that. On default, you'll have like this dirty variant. You can actually change to this one over here called the old. But because you are a, well, if you're able to play the game, you'll be a Origin Premier. You'll have these different skins that you'll have access to, which are kind of cool in the very beginning. Oh, important thing, even though this is a legendary, it does not actually change your stats in the game. It's just for cosmetic. In fact, they even mentioned that, and I kind of want to go ahead and jump into the microtransactions part of this game as far as early impressions, because a lot of people don't like if there's something that would be considered pay to win in the very beginning, and I totally understand. And they're, oh, this is a question I got asked. This is not a battle royale, or there's no PvP, because I know some people just followed me for Apex. I'm like, well, what is this? Is this a new battle royale? No PvP. In fact, I don't think they have plans to add like a battle royale or PvP for this game. Although that would be kind of cool if they did that in the future. Now, in order to get to the microtransaction store, okay, let me explain this. Okay, so you have to open up the main menu. It'd be hitting options on PlayStation. And then you'd have to go ahead and go into featured, okay? And then I have to hold down options again to open up the store. Why is it like this? I don't know. Okay, that's just how it works. But you guys can see over here what's featured. And if you want to claim your rewards, because this is something that's kind of confusing, you have to do it through this. And then you go ahead and hit right bumper, and then you go to rewards. Why is it not just a thing on the main menu? I don't know. But anyways, let's go ahead and check out what is actually featured here. So you can see that you can get these armor packs. Now, what's cool right now is there's in-game currency called coins, and there's also shards. Now, as of right now, you can get the unlocks with both of the currencies. I actually started out with 40,000, so I've acquired 3,260 in, I don't know how long I've actually played. Because I did technically play before on console as well as PC, but that was in like the earlier versions. I'm not sure if it gets much more difficult to acquire currency later in the game, but it seems like it is going to take you a while, but that could change because later in the game you can get things perhaps much faster. But for example, there are different textures. Let me see if I actually click on one of these. Last time I opened up, it didn't actually work properly. Oh, another thing I wanted to address, it doesn't actually give you a preview. I was hoping it would give you a preview. But anyways, As far as the game crashing, I only had the game crash on me once while I was playing for several hours. So as far as those kinds of bugs, there is one thing. It almost looks like a subwoofer in the game. It was kind of glitched out, so there are going to be bugs that you might happen to come across, but there's not anything that I would say is really game breaking. Like, I haven't fell through the level. I know that that was a problem in the beta, but I want to say those things will get addressed, and hopefully they'll be all patched out by the time the game gets its official launch, because we're technically playing the game a little bit earlier now. But these armors over here, they're just cosmetic. Like, you can see this epic gum on shoe thing. It changes how your javelin drops when they come in. Instead of landing on their like knee, he's going to be like checking his shoe for gum. Now, why would someone want to spend money on that? That's totally up to them, and I think that right now the microtransaction store is not very aggressive, nor is there any crafting materials, because you can technically craft in this game. Now, I want to show you guys kind of like the hub world, because this is something that is in the game, and as you progress in the game, there will be different doors. Like the hangar, which we'll unlock later, is over here. There's a lot of different areas, but I want to go ahead and show you guys the dialogue of the game, because it's a BioWare game, and they do have this interaction where you can actually select decisions. So let's go ahead and talk to him. And I feel like the voice acting is really good in this game as well.
I know you've got good news.
All the amber you need.
What I wanted to hear. All right then. Let's get to business and fire up the forge. It's time all these javelins around here got the tender loving care they deserve. Head on over to the forge, and you can start crafting. But don't forget, when you want to make a statement, maybe polish that javelin up with a nice coat of pain and thunder. Come see me.
So, you're the thunder merchant, huh?
Hey, the best freelancers always arrive with a bang. But first, they buy it from me. Don't be a stranger.
Okay. So some of the dialogue, let me try to go to a different person to talk to. So you can see, oh, the area opened up, I believe, over here. So like I said, there will be areas that unlock. And sometimes you'll be given the option to make a decision. As of right now, especially in the early game, as far as my impressions go, they're basically the same, and they don't really change up the game. Like, they're not making a decision, at least in the early game, that really feels like you're impacting the end result of like the story. Because there is a story. I'm not really showcasing that off because I know people don't want spoilers, but maybe we'll do like a full playthrough eventually when I make like another character or something like that.
I have another job for you.
I'm flattered, but I still don't really know you.
Old habit. I work for Corvus.
Ah.
Okay. Because I know some people don't want to really see the story. I'm just going to go ahead and skip some of this dialogue because I want to see if there's an option. Okay, never mind. That didn't give me an option. I'm just going to talk to her again. Maybe you can? Nope. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and probably go to another mission. But there will be options where you can either hold the right trigger or the left trigger. And basically what it comes down to is you'll be able to select something in the dialogue that would change what they say. But again, it's very minor. So you guys can see over here, for shotguns, you can see the shotguns that we have. And if we want to go to gear, let's go to crafting over here. So you can see the materials that we have. And you'll have to get them. Let's see. So you can actually salvage your stuff. So since I already have one of these, like I don't see the point of having multiple. There might be a reason why you'd want to have multiple, but there is a crafting system in this game to, of course, get your currency, and you can see the slots used over here. I believe this is our inventory space. Let's go and get rid of this because it's only like a power of 1. So we'll go ahead and actually you can't salvage that one, I guess. Let's go ahead. That one's power 7. It's power 4. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually salvage this. And you'll see that the slots used will go down. So you do have inventory space. So I'm not sure if they'll add inventory space that you can buy in the future. I know there's a lot of games that will have that as a microtransaction. But as far as right now, it's not aggressive at all. It's just paint schematics. But obviously, games, a lot of times they'll have this where they'll have very non-intrusive stuff in the very beginning, then the reviews go out, and then they start adding stuff, like if they started adding different power guns. But technically, if you pre-order, you do get a huge advantage in the game as far as like the weapons go, because you start off with a legendary. It's not something that's going to be super insane. You'll probably end up changing it relatively soon as you progress in the game. But it does definitely give you a pretty nice little head start on everyone else that may not have it. But anyways, overall, my early impressions on this game, are that it has a lot of potential, but it's very repetitive early on. And I'll give you guys a update on it once we progress further in the game, as far as my thoughts on the game and how the gameplay is actually changed from the demo. Now, like I said, I am playing a newer Javelin, but overall the core concept of the game is very similar to if you've played the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. Go over here, do this, stand over here, go grab this, place this over here. It feels kind of like it's busy work. There is a story and a campaign that does have cutscenes as well, and the voice acting, like I said, is very good. The lip syncing is really, really good if you've played Andromeda. Eventually, when they got fixed, and or if you downloaded some of the mods, it's pretty spot on. Like if I talk to this guy,
Very good work out there with the Arcanists. People want
like I said, I'll skip the dialogue, and I'm hoping it gives me an option to select. Oh, okay. Like I said, I can't force it to give me the select option, but there is options. And also, another thing I wanted to showcase off really quick. Oh gosh, we're already like 30 minutes. But you have these daily trials over here. If you want to go ahead and you can go ahead and accept that. And you can see there's weekly trials. I recommend always just stopping by here and just accepting them. But I believe we've already completed the daily one, so we're grabbing another one.
Hey, got time to check in?
Okay, let's see if... Okay, let's go ahead and see the weekly alliance status over here.
Enclave success needs to be
Earns you and your friends coins. Okay.
That's what it's about.
So it says use coin to buy appearances for your Javelin. So maybe it's just cosmetic as far as the thing goes. But anyways, you guys can let me know your thoughts on this game down below now that I've given you mine. I think that I would really have to progress more in the game to really give you guys that incentive on is this game worth buying or not, because I think for $15 the Origin Premier is a great option, especially since you can play this game early, and if you're wondering if it's worth it or not, you can definitely go ahead and check that out. But there's also a lot of other great games on here that I think are really, really awesome. In fact, one of my favorite stealth games is on here. It's called Origami. Plus, there's a lot of people that always buy the FIFA games, or if you always buy the Battlefield games, they're available on here as well. And you'll have access to all of these. There's Mirror's Edge. There's a lot of really cool games out that are here. Like Force Unleashed, I think that game is definitely worth playing. And I think that, oh, I also want to, important thing. Someone asked me, do you have to pre-order the game, as in buy the game and then get Premiere? No, you can just get Premiere for $15. It's a monthly charge, so to make it easier, if you want to go buy one of those EA game cards, that way it doesn't do that reoccurring payment. Because I know I haven't done it with this one, but I know with some game subscriptions they'll have to like send you an email and they'll have to confirm the email to actually cancel it. Like they make it a little bit difficult, but that's why I always recommend to get those game time cards where you can just enter the code and then it just puts money on the account. But Pillars of Eternity, some of the Batman games, there's also the new Battlefield, but there's the old Star Wars games. Okay, here's Origami. By the way, I highly recommend that game. Fury, another awesome game. So the way I see it, the Origin Access, the Premiere, is definitely worth it, and you get to play this game early. This is not a sponsored video by any means, but I just think that this game, even if you don't like it, there's a lot of other things to look forward to. But that's my early impressions on the game. It's a little bit repetitive, and I think that they really shouldn't have had same gameplay mechanics implemented in. But as far as story goes, I feel like it's too early for me to really say if I enjoy the story or not. But we'll do an updated video later down the line. But from seeing the gameplay and from everything that I showed off, if you guys want to let me know how you feel about this game, you guys can let me know it down below in the comment section below. But like I said, I'll update you guys on the future as far as like it's mid-game. I guess I should say, like, these are my early impressions. We'll do mid-game impressions, and then I'll do my end-game impressions of the game. And hopefully I'll be able to get all of that done before the game like officially launches. But like I mentioned before, it's only available on PC as of right now with Premiere. But it will be available on Xbox, I believe, next week, and then like another like few days after, it'll be on PC, PS4, and of course PC with its normal launch. I know it's kind of confusing with this game as far as like how many other launch windows they have for it. But anyways, thanks for watching, and if you want to see more Anthem content, I will be uploading more as the week goes on, and I'll give you guys my impressions, and I'll showcase off the end game. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll get that out for you guys. But anyways, let me know your thoughts down below. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.